I'll tell you how Robert and I met, and that will help understand how this came about. Robert was doing a film about his book called UFOs and Nukes, and I had a TV station at my university in Peoria, Illinois, and we brought some of his guests in to interview them in my station so we could get some nice high-quality video. We spent, I think, 2 or 3 days doing those interviews, and at the end of the final day, Robert came into my office, and we were sitting chatting about how nice a time we'd had. And Robert said, now he and I had known each other for several years up to this point, never talked about what our topic is today. We were sitting there, and so he reached over and closed the door to my office, and he said, Bob, I have to tell you something. I'm going to confess something that I haven't told anybody else. He said, I'm an abductee, and there's a triple-digit thingy that goes on. Every time I have an experience, I wake up, and there's a triple digit on my clock. In his case, it was 444. Without thinking, I said, well, for me, it's 333.
That's amazing.
We immediately went, oh, my God, we're having similar experiences. In my experiences, over the past several years, in fact, I've been shown by whatever you want to call them, the entities that contact me and come to me. I've been shown a series of events. I'm usually taken to a desert location, an orangish-colored rock and sandy bottoms and so forth, and I'm shown things. And one of the things I've been shown consistently is a way of making power sources. Now, I'm not a physicist. I wish I were. I'm not an electronic engineer. I wish I were, because I'm seeing these things, and I'm inherently shown what they do. When you put these things together, they manufacture this power source, which I've been shown on board. Here we go. Sounds weird. On board a craft. I saw the power source working.
Don't worry. You're talking to a lot of people who've been on board crafts on this show, including me. So go right ahead.
Then you realize how difficult this has been for me, and I think for Robert also, to come out with and go, yes, this is happening. It's happened to us. Anyhow, recently, I'm certain that you're aware of the political situation throughout the world right now. We live in a very perilous moment. As we continue living in perilous moment after perilous moment, and the problem is we now have terrorists who don't give a hoot about ones that are blowing themselves up with atomic weapons if they get hold of them. I was shown Thursday of last week, I was taken to a place where it was like the desert places I usually go to, except, and by the way, I never see the entities, the creatures are always right behind me. And they talk to me through what must be telepathy, because I never hear voices, but I hear in my head what I'm being shown. I walked out in this awful, terrible place where it used to be a city or a village or some sort of civilization, and it was blackened rubble. And I was walked through it, and in the back of my head I was told, this could happen to you. Now, what do I think they're doing? I think that I'm sure there are others who might believe also that maybe they planted us here, that maybe they are us, that I don't know who they are, or where they come from. There's a recent experimental idea that, well, perhaps they're us in the future and they're coming back in time machines. I don't know. I believe in certainly that there are a lot of possibilities. I'm confident through quantum mechanics and physics that there are multiverses, that we're not the only universe in the world.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely not. Having been there and done that also, I can assure you. There's a parallel universe right here all around us. And
absolutely true. I believe that, Whitley, and I think I've experienced that phenomenon. Anyhow, why are they here? Why are they? I think they would like us to not destroy ourselves. People have asked me, for example, at a conference I was asked, well, do they mean us harm? And my response has always been, well, if they meant us harm, they would have wiped us out by now. I don't think, of course, there are more than one of them. I'm sure you agree to that. But I think the main body of the things we're experiencing are not harmful. I think they're trying to straighten this out. I have a theory. We can't get wise because we don't live long enough. Our species is, at 100 years maximum, we're gone. I think if humanity could find a way to just live for, 400 or 500 years, that we would get wise. We would get beyond religion. We would get beyond politics. We would get beyond hating somebody because they drive a better car than I do. They would get beyond all that petty nonsense that great philosophers come to and great religious leaders come to. And we would all be able to rise into this new age of, well, there is a school of thought that at least one or two of these different races may be our parents. They may be the God that we hope for all the time, that created us and put us here, and therefore they are interested in it. That's one way to look at it. I agree with Robert. I'm certain that there are more than one species of these entities throughout the universe. There are trillions of galaxies, as we now know from the Hubble telescope and other wonderful things looking into deep space. I think that most of the experiences certainly that I've had a couple of scary moments, like the one I had last Thursday, when I went, oh my God, what am I supposed to do with this information? You just show me something. Is it a warning? Is it something that happened? Is it something that could happen? I don't know what that was all about, but it certainly rattled my brain for a few days, and I still get queasy about what I was seeing. It was horrifying. For the most part, I've had interesting experiences that show me something that I wish I were smarter so I could understand, like the power sources and like their time-space warping to travel, which they showed me that that's what they do. And they even let me do it for a brief period of time. And I know how crazy this sounds, but as far as I'm concerned, from the research I've done and the stories I'm told, they've been here all along, ever since we've been here, because we have cave paintings about them. We have stories about them around campfires in various populations around the world. Of course, them have been here certainly as long as we have. And are they influencing us? Are they always trying to change us, trying to make us better, make us different? Well, we certainly have evolved, haven't we, since we came along some few 100,000 years ago, million years ago, depending on what archaeological source you judge humans coming along. I'm encouraged. I'm optimistic, I think, over what's happening to me. And I've had experiences that didn't happen in bed. For example, I wrote this about this in the book. I used to have a cabin down in Arkansas on the Buffalo River, and I used to drive over to a little town called Mountain View, where they have great, wonderful mountain music, the folk music capital of the world. And I was at a concert one night that got out around 9 o'clock, and driving back from Mountain View to my cabin near Marshall, Arkansas, the road drives along a ridge, a mountain ridge, until it comes down to the town of Leslie, where it cascades down out of the ridge. Well, imagine driving on a mountain ridge. If you're looking in your rearview mirror, you see a ribbon of highway twisting down and up and around all the way back to Mountain View. I was driving along with my wife, and we were discussing the concert and have a wonderful time we had, and then she sort of drifted off to sleep. I looked in the rearview mirror. Way back there, I saw what I assumed were headlights following me on that same road. Well, I kept referring back to my rearview mirror, and these lights got closer much faster than they should have. If anybody was driving along that road, they couldn't have been driving 100 miles an hour, but that's how fast this thing seemed to be going. And it caught up to me well before I got down into the down grade into Leslie. This thing came up behind me, and it was elevated above me. It was extremely wide. It certainly wasn't a truck or a car or a Volkswagen driving along the road behind me. It was in the air just behind me. And there were several large white lights and some that were a bit greenish, and this thing followed me down the road. We went around the curves, and I ended up down in the little town of Leslie, and the road ends at a stop sign. And then you have to turn onto Main Street in Leslie to get over to Highway 65 to go back up home to Marshall. I got down to the stop sign. The lights were clearly behind me, elevated. I turned right onto Main Street and stopped to see what this thing was. Sat there for several seconds and nothing came out. I got out of my car and walked back and looked up the road. There was nothing there. Robert asked me if I had had any lost time. And the best I can come up with is the drive from Mountain View to my cabin was usually about 55 minutes to an hour. It had taken me well over an hour and a half to get to my cabin. So, was that an encounter? Was that something following me? Well, I sure think it was.
Yes.
Because it wasn't anything like I'd ever had experienced before, and I felt like there was a presence around me while this thing was